So that dreaded check engine light pops on, and when you plug in the scanner, it shows a P0441 code, especially if you're driving a Toyota. Now, I know it sounds super technical, but a lot of the time, this points to a really simple fix. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what that code means and the steps you can take to solve it yourself. My goal here is super simple. I want to give you a clear step-by-step plan. We're going to start with the easiest and most common fixes first, so you can track down the problem logically and, get back on the road without any worries. Okay, let's dive right in. Think of it like this. Every diagnostic code is a clue, it's a little message from your car's computer. So to solve this mystery, we first have to understand what the P0441 code is actually trying to tell us. At its core, your car's EVAP system is basically its own little anti-pollution device. Its one and only job is to capture raw gas fumes from your fuel tank before they can escape into the air. Then it cleverly feeds them back into the engine to get burned. So the P0441 code just means your car's computer has noticed that this flow of fumes isn't happening the way it's supposed to. So what could be causing this flow problem? Well, like any good mystery, there are a handful of usual suspects. We're going to investigate them one by one, and we're going to start with the absolute simplest and most common cause out there. Our first stop in this whole investigation is the easiest thing you could possibly check, the gas cap. I know, it might seem way too simple, but you would be shocked at how often this little guy is the root of the entire problem. You can do this check in like 30 seconds. First, just make sure the cap is tight. Turn it clockwise until you hear at least one loud click. If it's already tight, go ahead and unscrew it and take a really close look at that rubber seal. You're looking for any signs that it's getting old. Is it cracked, brittle, maybe flattened out? If it is, it can't create that perfect airtight seal the system needs, and that is very likely your culprit. Now here's a crucial tip. Not all gas caps are created equal. If it turns out you do need a replacement, I highly recommend you get a genuine OEM part right from the dealer. Why? Because this system is pretty sensitive, and a lot of those aftermarket caps just don't have the exact right specs, meaning they might not seal properly, and you'll be right back where you started. Okay, so if your gas cap is in perfect shape, our investigation now turns to the single most common mechanical failure for a P0441 code, the purge valve. Yeah, the experts are really clear on this one. This small valve is the most frequent point of failure. It usually fails in one of two ways. It either gets physically stuck open or closed, or it gets clogged up with little bits of charcoal from somewhere else in the system. Its job is simple, but it's absolutely crucial. When your engine is running, the computer tells the valve to open up. This allows all those trapped vapors to get pulled into the engine and burned away. Then, when you turn the car off, it's supposed to snap shut to seal the whole system. If it fails to do either of those things correctly, the computer logs this P0441 error code. And here's the good news. If the purge valve is the problem, it's not some budget-breaking repair. The part itself is pretty inexpensive. Actually, because it's so cheap, a lot of people will just go ahead and replace it as the next logical step right after checking the gas cap. But hold on, before you go and order that new valve, there's one more little check you gotta do. The valve itself might be perfectly fine. What if the problem is just that the electrical signal telling it to open and close isn't getting through? So you should always check the electrical connection first. Find the purge valve, it's usually on or near the engine, and you'll see a couple of vacuum hoses and one electrical plug connected to it. Make sure that plug is clicked in securely, and just look at the wires for any obvious damage or fraying. Remember, a bad connection can give you the exact same symptoms as a failed valve. All right, so your gas cap is good, and the purge valve and its wiring all check out. But that light is still on? Okay, now we have to broaden our search. It's time to start hunting for leaks somewhere else in the system's network of hoses. So, professionals have this really cool tool for this called a smoke machine. They pump a harmless, visible smoke into the EVAP system, and literally wherever a little puff of smoke escapes, that's your leak. Now, while you probably don't have one of those in your garage, you can still do a thorough visual inspection. Just follow the EVAP hoses from the engine bay back towards the fuel tank, looking for any obvious cracks, brittle spots, or loose connections. So what is this charcoal canister anyway? Well, think of it like a sponge, but for gas fumes. It's just a container filled with activated charcoal pellets that absorb all the vapors from the tank. The problem is, over many, many years, these little pellets can break down into a fine dust, and that dust can get sucked through the hoses and end up completely clogging that purge valve we just talked about. All right, we've gathered all the evidence. Let's put everything together into a final action plan so we can close the case on this P0441 code. Here is your action plan. Think of it like a funnel. You start at the top, the widest part, with the simplest, cheapest check, the gas cap. If that doesn't solve it, you move down to the prime suspect, the purge valve and its wiring. Still no luck? Expand your search and do a visual check of the evap hoses for cracks. And finally, if you've tried all these DIY steps, it's time to call for backup and let a professional with a smoke machine find those more elusive leaks. So there you have it, a logical, step-by-step plan to tackle that P0441 code. You're no longer in the dark just staring at that light. You know where to start and you know what to look for. So the only question is, what's your first step going to be?